Some stories grab you and never let go. They ignite a spark within us, a passion that can shape our entire lives. For Heinrich Schliemann, born in Germany in 1822, that story was Homer's Iliad. It was more than just a tale. It was a calling. As a child, his father read him tales of epic battles and the walled city of Troy. These stories filled his young mind with wonder and curiosity. For Heinrich, these weren't just stories, they were real. He could see the heroes, the battles, and the treasures vividly in his imagination. He was convinced that every hero and treasure described by Homer truly existed. The legends were not mere fiction to him. When his father told him Troy was just a myth, Heinrich refused to accept it. He believed in the truth of Homer's words with unwavering faith. He declared he would find it himself. This was not a childish whim, it was a solemn vow. Life was tough. Forced to leave school early, he became a grocer's apprentice, far from the world of ancient heroes. Yet his dream never wavered. But at night he devoured Homer, teaching himself languages: English, French, Russian, and most importantly, Greek. Each language brought him closer to his goal. He believed that to find Troy, he needed to speak the language of its legends. Greek was the key to unlocking the ancient world. Every new language was a tool, another key to unlocking the past. He saw each one as a step closer to his dream. He practiced Greek by reciting the Iliad and Odyssey from memory, dreaming of Troy while stocking shelves. His passion was his constant companion. To others he seemed eccentric. They couldn't understand his obsession. But in his mind he was already on the plains of Troy. He could see the ancient city as clearly as if it were right before him. His dream wasn't just alive, it fueled him through years of mundane work. It was the light that guided him through the darkness. Schliemann's obsession with Troy was no passing phase, it was a promise he intended to keep. He documented his plans and dreams meticulously. He was determined to prove that the world of Homer was real. His research was thorough, his resolve unbreakable. And nothing, not poverty, not skepticism, would stop him. Heinrich Schliemann was a boy with a Homeric dream, and he was destined to make it a reality. Dreams need funding, and Schliemann knew it. From a young age he understood that ambition alone wasn't enough. He needed resources to turn his wildest hopes into reality. Leaving behind his humble beginnings in Germany, Schliemann braved the unknown. He survived a harrowing shipwreck and eventually landed in bustling Amsterdam. There, his remarkable gift for languages opened doors, earning him a position with a prominent trading firm. Sent to Russia on business, Schliemann seized every opportunity. He started his own import company, trading goods across borders. When the Crimean War erupted, he saw not just conflict, but a chance to prosper, supplying vital materials to armies and amassing a fortune in the process. But Schliemann's true goal wasn't wealth or comfort. His heart was set on a legend, the lost city of Troy. Restless and ambitious, he traveled the globe. During the California gold rush, he didn't dig for gold. He ran a bank for miners, turning their dreams into his own profit. By his 40s, Schliemann was a self-made millionaire, his fortune built on risk, cleverness, and relentless drive. In 1864, he closed the books on his business career, retiring with enough wealth to finally pursue his childhood dream. Eager to prepare, he enrolled at the Sorbonne in Paris, immersing himself in archaeology and ancient history. He was determined to learn everything he could before setting out on his quest. No longer just a grocer's apprentice, Schliemann had transformed into a scholar and an adventurer, ready to chase the mysteries of the past. The world of commerce was behind him now, replaced by the promise of discovery. Ahead lay the sun-baked hills of the Mediterranean, the windswept plains of Turkey, and, he hoped, the ruins of Troy itself. Schliemann's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. From a poor grocer's apprentice to a man of means, ready to chase legends and rewrite history. He had the means, the knowledge, and above all, the obsession to see his quest through. Now, all that remained was to find Troy, to prove that the stories he loved as a boy were rooted in truth. The greatest adventure of his life was about to begin, and he was ready to risk everything for it. For Schliemann, the real treasure was always the story, the chance to bring myth to life. And now, with pen in hand and destiny calling, he was determined to write his own legend for the ages. How do you find a city that, for centuries, most people believed was nothing more than a legend, a tale spun by poets and dreamers? The city of Troy, immortalized in myth, seemed lost to time, if it had ever existed at all. For Heinrich Schliemann, the answer was both daring and unconventional. He would use Homer's Iliad, not as a story but as a literal map to guide his search. Schliemann approached the epic with the mind of a detective, treating its verses not as fanciful myth, but as a coded guidebook filled with real clues. While most scholars of his day dismissed Troy as pure fiction, Schliemann was convinced that Homer's words pointed to an actual place waiting to be found. He pored over the text, searching for geographical hints, a windy city set on a broad plain, nestled between two rivers, and close to the narrow strait we now call the Dardanelles. With the Iliad as his compass, Schliemann journeyed to northwestern Turkey, determined to match the ancient landscape to Homer's vivid descriptions. Many thought his quest was absurd, like searching for Camelot with nothing but a fairy tale. Yet, Schliemann pressed on, undeterred by ridicule or skepticism. He meticulously studied the rivers, measured the distances, and examined the hills, determined to find a match for every detail in Homer's account. Schliemann even calculated how far Achilles could have chased Hector around the city walls, using the epic's details to estimate the size of ancient Troy. His relentless search finally led him to a windswept hill called Hissarlik. Large, exposed, and perfectly situated between two rivers not far from the coast. The site seemed to fit Homer's description in every way, as if the ancient poet had left a map hidden in plain sight. Though other locations had been proposed by experts, none felt as convincing to Schliemann as Hissarlik. The landscape, the rivers, the winds, all matched the epic's clues. Here on this lonely hill, Schliemann decided to stake not only his claim, but his entire fortune and reputation. He was utterly convinced, beneath the windswept earth of Hissarlik lay the legendary city of Troy, waiting to be uncovered by those bold enough to believe in myth. Schliemann wasn't the first to suspect Hissarlik was Troy. Frank Calvert, an English diplomat and amateur archaeologist, had lived in the region for years and owned part of the hill. Calvert believed in the reality of Troy, and had even conducted small digs. When Schliemann arrived, Calvert shared his research and pointed him to the likely spot. Calvert had the knowledge. Schliemann had the money and drive. Their partnership was uneasy. Calvert provided the groundwork, but Schliemann took the spotlight. Tensions grew as Schliemann downplayed Calvert's role. Yet without Calvert's guidance, Schliemann might have dug in the wrong place. Together they stood on the edge of one of archaeology's greatest discoveries. Digging at Hissarlik, Schliemann wasn't uncovering just one city, but a stack of ancient settlements. The mound was a tell, an artificial hill built by centuries of rebuilding. Schliemann's goal: find the layer matching Homer's Troy. His methods were crude. He ordered a massive trench straight through the mound, destroying upper layers to reach the oldest. As they dug, they found walls, pottery, and ruins from different eras. Schliemann identified 9 cities, labeling them Troy 1, 2, and so on. He was thrilled by thick walls and signs of fire in Troy 2, declaring it the city of King Priam. But his rush destroyed valuable evidence from later layers. Later archaeologists were horrified by the loss. For Schliemann, the destruction was worth it if it proved the Iliad was real. In 1873, Schliemann made a discovery that made him world famous: a hoard of gold, silver, and bronze near the walls of Troy 2. He claimed to have excavated it in secret with his wife Sophia and photographed her wearing the golden jewels. The treasure, necklaces, headdresses, cups, was breathtaking. Schliemann declared it the royal treasure of King Priam, proof that the myths were true. The find captured the world's imagination. But controversy followed. He smuggled the artifacts out of Turkey, breaking his agreement with the Ottoman government. Lawsuits and accusations of exaggeration swirled. Some believe he embellished the story or assembled the treasure from multiple finds. The treasure was real, but the tale of its discovery may have been another of Schliemann's legends. While the public hailed Schliemann as a hero, archaeologists were appalled by his methods. His massive trench destroyed the context of the site, crucial for understanding history. He bulldozed through centuries of settlements, treating anything above his target as worthless. Schliemann identified Troy 2 as Homer's city, based on the treasure and signs of fire. But later analysis showed Troy 2 was 1,000 years too old for the Trojan War. He dug right past the real candidates, Troy 6 and Troy 7a, layers that matched the correct era and showed evidence of destruction. His obsession with Homer blinded him to the actual evidence. Smuggling the treasure out of Turkey further damaged his reputation. The Ottoman government sued. Schliemann paid a fine but kept the collection. Scholars saw him as a showman, willing to bend the truth for fame. His methods set a terrible precedent for archaeology. Schliemann's legacy was now as controversial as his discoveries. So, did Schliemann find Troy? Today, archaeologists agree. Hissarlik is the site of ancient Troy. Schliemann was right about the location thanks to Homer's clues and Calvert's guidance. But which layer is Homer's Troy? Not Troy 2, it's too old. Most scholars point to Troy 6 or Troy 7a. Troy 6 was grand but destroyed by earthquake. Troy 7a, less impressive but violently destroyed around 1180 BCE, fits the timeline of the Trojan War. The legend likely preserves a memory of this real siege. Priam's treasure didn't belong to Priam, but it's a spectacular early Bronze Age find. The treasure's fate is dramatic, seized in World War II, now in Moscow, still disputed. Schliemann's quest proved that myths can have a historical core. Schliemann's legacy is as layered as Troy itself. Was he a hero or a destructive amateur? The truth is somewhere in between. His crude methods and self-promotion damaged his reputation. Yet he revolutionized archaeology, proving that legends could be real. He inspired the world to believe in the power of discovery. His work at Troy and Mycenae opened a new chapter in history. Schliemann's story is both inspiration and cautionary tale. He dared to ask if Troy was real, and found it. Myths, he showed, can be echoes of real events. Without his obsession, Troy might still be buried, waiting for a dreamer to uncover it.